Get ready for action, because we are kicking things off right now with a look at the Chicago Cubs versus the Milwaukee Brewers preview. We're diving deep into the team's incredible recent performance, examining the history of their winning streaks, and seeing exactly what this matchup means for the season. We'll break down the key stats and the big picture leading into Tuesday's showdown. Looking at key players like Justin Steele and Matthew Boyd, and what this signals for their postseason aspirations as they fight to maintain their lead in the division. And that's all the buzz for now. The Cubs are fighting for every inch, and the trade market is heating up. Don't miss a single moment of this intense baseball action. Stay locked in with us, because we bring you the fastest, freshest news in sports, right here. The Chicago Cubs face the Milwaukee Brewers in a matchup set to highlight recent team performance and key player matchups. The contest is scheduled for Tuesday, May 19th, at 6:40 CT, and will be broadcast on Marquee Sports Network. Cubs' recent form is a point of interest. This game marks the Cubs' 10th win in a row, continuing a streak that follows a previous 10-game winning run on May 8th. A loss tonight would place them in a precarious position, potentially tying for the worst record in the 10 games following any of their previous double-digit winning streaks. In the series so far, the Cubs lead 36-35 in the second game at home, having lost the first game and holding a 18-13 record overall. The Cubs have maintained a consistent offensive output, scoring 119 runs in 111 hits across all games. Looking at the season, Michael Busch has shown solid production, hitting .339 with 7 doubles and 2 home runs in 17 games in May. Key personnel changes are noted, with Ben Brown stepping into the rotation following an injury to Matthew Boyd. Brown has shown promising performance in 2 starts, including 8 innings with 1 hit, 2 walks, and 10 strikeouts, and has also performed well in long relief this season, suggesting he may be asked for a longer outing. Historically, Ben Brown has performed well against the Brewers, posting a 1 ERA and a 0.778 WHIP in 3 starts against them. However, the current Brewers offense presents a significant challenge, as they have struggled against Brown, recording 8 hits in 53 at-bats against him with 18 strikeouts. A major factor in tonight's game is the performance of Jacob Misiorowski, who has struck out 80 batters in 202 appearances, boasting an impressive 39.6% strikeout rate. He has also thrown an unusually high number of high-velocity pitches, exceeding all other starters in MLB combined. Conversely, Brown faced some trouble last year, allowing 6 runs in 8 innings primarily due to issuing 5 walks. The expectation is that Brown will need an exceptional performance tonight to navigate the challenges posed by Misiorowski and the Brewers' pitching staff. The game preview will be available on MLB.com, and dedicated discussion, threads, and recaps will be posted on the site leading up to and following the game. The Milwaukee Brewers have established themselves as a significant challenge for the Chicago Cubs, particularly concerning their ace pitcher, Shota Imanaga. In a recent 3-game series kickoff on the road at Wrigley Field, the Brewers secured a decisive 9-3 victory over the Cubs, with Brandon Sproat taking the mound against Imanaga. This win immediately shifted the dynamic, as the Brewers are closing the gap in the National League Central Division, now trailing the Cubs by just half a game for the division lead. Monday night's contest highlighted the growing dominance of Milwaukee over the Cubs' pitching staff. While Imanaga entered the game with a season ERA of 2.32 across 54 and one-third innings pitched, he struggled significantly against the Brewers, allowing 8 earned runs and 9 total runs in 4 and one-third innings. This performance has inflated his season ERA to 3.38 over 58 and two-thirds innings pitched. Historically, Imanaga has had a strong career, posting a 3.38 ERA across 64 starts over the last 3 seasons. However, his performance against the Brewers has been notably poor. In his 5 career starts against Milwaukee, Imanaga has allowed 22 earned runs in 26 and one-third innings, resulting in a brutal 7.52 ERA in that specific matchup. This pattern has positioned the Brewers as Imanaga's persistent boogeyman. The series continues on Tuesday night with another pitching matchup. Brewers' Jacob Misaiorowski will face Cubs' Ben Brown. If the Brewers can secure the win on Tuesday, they will seize the top spot in the division. Analysts suggest that the increasing difficulty Imanaga faces against Milwaukee signals a significant turning point. With both teams vying for playoff positioning, the rivalry between the Brewers and Cubs is set to intensify as the Brewers push to take control of the division race. The Milwaukee Brewers have established themselves as a formidable opponent for the Chicago Cubs, particularly against Cubs ace Shota Imanaga. In a recent 3-game series kicked off on the road at Wrigley Field, the Brewers secured an early victory, defeating the Cubs 9-3 when Brandon Sproat pitched against Imanaga. This matchup highlights a recurring theme in the series, the Brewers' success against the star pitcher. Looking back at Monday night's contest, the Brewers managed to overcome Imanaga, despite the ace having a respectable season ERA of 2.32 in 54 and one-third innings pitched prior to the game. However, the Brewers ultimately registered 8 earned runs and 9 total runs against the Cubs pitcher over 4 and one-third innings. This result contributes to Imanaga's current season ERA, which has risen to 3.38 over 58 and two-thirds innings pitched. Imanaga's career statistics show a 3.38 ERA across 64 starts over the last 3 seasons. While generally performing well, his performance against the Brewers has been notably challenging. In his 5 starts against Milwaukee, Imanaga has allowed 22 earned runs in 26 and one-third innings, resulting in a brutal 7.52 ERA against that specific team. Analysts suggest that it is surprising for a pitcher of Imanaga's caliber to struggle so consistently against the Brewers, indicating a significant advantage for Milwaukee. The narrative suggests that the Brewers and Cubs are poised for a competitive run, with both teams potentially reaching the playoffs by the end of the 2026 season. Imanaga is currently considered the Cubs' best healthy starter, but the Brewers have become his persistent boogeyman. Division standings are also tightening. The Brewers are closing the gap in the National League Central, currently trailing the Cubs by just half a game for the division lead. The outcome of Tuesday night's matchup, featuring Brewers pitcher Jacob Misaiorowski against Cubs pitcher Ben Brown, will be crucial. A win for Milwaukee would give them the top spot in the division. The Chicago Cubs are reportedly initiating trade discussions well ahead of the official MLB trade deadline, signaling an urgent need to bolster their roster as they fight to maintain their National League Central Division lead. With the team currently holding a slim 0.5 game advantage over the Milwaukee Brewers and facing ongoing injury setbacks, the Cubs are keenly aware that they must act quickly to secure their postseason aspirations. Insiders suggest the team is already fielding calls for trades. Jim Bowden of The Athletic, who ranks the Cubs 4th in his latest MLB Power Rankings, has pointed to significant roster holes, including the absence of Justin Steele, Cade Horton, and Matthew Boyd from the starting rotation due to various injuries. Bowden predicts that the Cubs will be active buyers at the deadline, stating that Chicago is already seeking starting pitching reinforcements and is expected to land a starter between now and the deadline due to existing prospect potential. This proactive approach suggests the team is aiming to secure necessary talent before the market fully opens up. Meanwhile, other teams are positioning themselves for the deadline. The Colorado Rockies, San Francisco Giants, and potentially the Boston Red Sox or New York Mets are anticipated to be among the first to declare themselves out of contention by the end of May. The Cubs are expected to be key players in these impending trade markets.